good. It feels weird. You're perched quite high. The wheel is at a bit of an angle, a bit like my Ferrari, but not as bad. Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of The Tomato. As you will see, there has been some big radical improvements. At the moment it's on its highest setting, so just ignore that. I've had a bit of a go at the bumper there, and in the end I decided to just clean it and try using some Polytrol. However, it is so bad that the Polytrol, although it has definitely improved it, has still not made it passable really. It does need a rattle can spray. I don't have time at the moment. I need to get this car back on the road because I'm moving house soon. More about that in another episode. So this is going to stay as it is for the moment, which is still miles better than it was before. I've done a few other bits and bobs. I forget what else that I haven't mentioned already, but the crucial stuff now is to get it through the MOT. I need to sort out the fuel cap because it isn't locking, and that is an MOT failure. So I've ordered one. As soon as it arrives, probably towards the end of this week, I will fit that. Then there is the passenger side rust. That's not really an MOT thing, but it's only surface, but I just want to seal that up and sort it out so it's out of mind, looks neater, and so on. I need to check it for any more hydraulic leaks that I can find. At the moment, it doesn't appear to be leaking, certainly not a lot anywhere. Not a lot from anywhere else, but I just need to check that out. Then there's the door mirror on the passenger side, which is broken, so I need to fix that. And lastly, on the windscreen wiper, the fluid pipe for the windscreen wash is cracked. So that again I think would be an MOT fail, so I need to sort that out as well. This is the passenger side surface rust, which has been treated and then sprayed with protective wax. It's all pretty good here. So the broken mirror now, and Vanny sent me a replacement for free. Thanks, buddy, that was amazing. Here it is. To get to the mirror and get it off, I have to get the door panel off. Luckily, I already had to do it previously on the other door, when I was doing all the work to the A-pillar, so I know that these aren't that much of a pain to get off. He says. Anyway, it should be fine. So I've got to get this off, get to those bolts. Even getting this off, I can see in there, it looks like it's going to be quite tricky getting into those bolts, but fingers crossed. Door mirror fixed. And I wish that other manufacturers had the nous of making door cards as easy to take on and put off as these old Citroens do, because honestly, compared to other door cards I had to muck about with, like in my own Alpha, this is almost a pleasure to remove and put back on. Okay, so I think I've found another power steering leak. But the good news is, I think this one is simple. I'm fairly sure, because I cleaned that up earlier under there. I thought it was coming from up here somewhere. I think it's literally where this joins here. So I'm going to try and push that further in, see if I can sort that out. So I think it's still leaking, and I think part of the issue it's leaking quite badly is that somehow or other this whole tube has really marked quite badly, and so it's not getting a proper seal on the tube around it. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to swap these around. There's two, but this I think is just supposed to be to give it some air. It wasn't connected to anything, so I'll probably swap them around and use this one and see if that holds. Right, so the fluid leak is fixed. I've only got the little tissue there to see if it picks anything up, but that's all sorted just by changing round the pipes. I've done a few parking manoeuvres, as you can see, and swapped it round. Also, I needed to change level a bit to fully bleed the coolant system, so that's all done and that's all good. Also, while moving it around and stuff, the brakes did free up, which is good news. Everything seems to be working pretty well, which again is good news. A couple of things that have come up, however, is the idle is it's too high. It's on 1500 revs. And the second thing is, what is the second thing? The starternator, there's definitely something going on there, because it just doesn't, it's not happy. So it wasn't just initially that the belt wasn't turning properly. The starter isn't, it's not happy, so I'm gonna have a look at that. It's weird because sometimes it picks up and it's fine, and sometimes it's not. So I'm hoping maybe a bit of a clean of the contacts and everything may sort that out. Another beautiful day with the Tomato, and I've cleaned a few connectors and stuff. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the starter motor issue, hoping it's not just a new starter, which would be a massive pain and would slow everything down. So I've cleaned a few connectors. Let's see if it makes any difference whatsoever. Well, that was definitely better, but whether it was just a fluke, in my experience with Pepe with the 205, this starter issue, I don't know, anyway, Pepe had the same thing. It was a massive pain and it was really difficult to try and sort out, and it was sort of semi-intermittent, and it's just the wiring is really crappy. But maybe it means that the starter itself is okay, which would be good news. Alright, I hate injection, electronic ignition, all that stuff, so I've called over the services of my mate Anton, who's also brought some of his homemade biltong. Yeah, otherwise known as Anton's meat. Anyway, we're going to try and figure out this, well, we're going to try and figure out this sort of high running thing. It started okay before, so maybe it's alright now in terms of the starter, but knowing these cars, it probably won't be. Shall I crank it over and we'll let it warm up?
Yeah. Okay, but it's still a bit weak.
So found another leak. So this one I knew there was something going on here because there was evidence of leaks before, but I'm really surprised now to find that there's a full crack in the pipe going to the strut, and not just that, but there's nothing on the floor under this bit of the car, so I don't know why it's not leaking more than it is. But anyway, that needs to be sorted out. So for this rear leak, I had already bought a full set of 5 spheres for the car. That's a sphere each for the cylinders or shocks and normal cars. And then there is one more I didn't realise these had. It's got an accumulator sphere at the front here. So if I'm doing that rear gator, which is leaking and I need to replace, then at the same time I may as well do all these. I was going to wait. The reason why I bought these is, first of all, the ones on this car look quite past their best. But not just that, they do seem to be working. But it's not just that, it's also that when Rich or Kitch was here, he told me that the ones at the front aren't the right ones for the 16 valve. They're higher pressure ones, which are for the normal cars. So obviously it's not currently even driving the way a 16 valve would be, which is quite an important thing to me. So that needs to be done. There's also, I think, one of the engine mounts, not necessarily to do for the MOT, but I think it will have to be done at some point. You know, that's not a job that I'm that keen to do at the moment. Right, so still no MOT for this episode, really sorry, but as a little taster, I'm quickly going to just take it around my estate just to see how it seems to be working. And I think it's sort of, the clutch is good. It feels weird. You're perched quite high. The wheel is at a bit of an angle, a bit like my Ferrari, but not as bad. All the gears seem to go in. Brakes are really odd. I don't know, I don't mind them, but it's a bit like the pedal's really firm, but they're really strong. It must be part of this hydro pneumatic setup. Looks like maybe the speedometer isn't working, although I'm not 100% sure on that. So sorry, that was the test drive, but that was the first proper drive. Well, proper, it was the first drive in the Tomato. You've experienced history. Well, everybody, still not ready to be MOT'd, but I keep finding stuff that I need to do, which is a real shocker, isn't it? Because you'd think it would have just been perfect straight off. But the truth of it is, it isn't. So I've got to do the suspension now, and I may as well do all the spheres at the same time as I'm doing that leaky gator. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and then I think it's ready for an MOT. So we're almost there. But the second thing left to do is the idle. Won't pass an MOT because it won't idle at 1000 RPM. So that needs to be sorted. We think it's a coolant temperature sensor, and I've ordered one of those as well. So hopefully that will cure that, but I've got to wait for that to come. Also, the fuel filler flap as well is on its way, so I think I'm looking at getting the car ready for MOT by the end of this week, but probably booked in for early next week. So watch this space and hopefully the next video. So far I think it's been By the time today we're coming up to, is it 3 weeks since I've got it? So I'm a week behind schedule. I haven't even washed it, and I'm sure you'll agree it's already starting to look a bit better. So I'm going to do a few more bits, do the interiors and so on, those MOT essentials, and it is slowly getting there. The list is getting smaller. So thank you so much for watching. The tomato really thanks you as well, and I look forward to seeing you for the next episode. Just as a quick aside as well, this actually, it's quite interesting because this is the car that has elicited the most sort of split and bias between the channel, between people who absolutely hate it and people who love it. But there doesn't seem to be any happy medium. You either love the tomato or absolutely hate it, want it burnt and put in a field. So see you soon.